welcome to GeekStorm. I'm Sean Hilton, owner of Comics Cube, founder of KokomoCon, and I do some other stuff on the side. Today I am joined by my good friend Nick Gray.
Hi, everybody.
We are here in the heart of downtown Kokomo, in the epicenter of Geek Street, at Kokomo Toys and Collectibles at 111 East Sycamore. Today we talk about Spider-Man, Matrix, television, comics, and whatever else that we get into. Anybody die?
Not that I saw this morning, no.
I'm sure a lot of people are dead, and for all the people who are dead,
sorry
for your loss.
Condolences.
But I don't think they were famous enough for us to bring up on GeekStorm.
Now, the only thing that is dead is Sony and Marvel's partnership.
Oh, segue with a Mack truck backing up over something. Wow. All right. So let's jump into that. Back in around 96, Marvel was getting ready to go bankrupt. They were hemorrhaging money. Everything was going awful for them. They then decide to sell off all the movie rights. And Fox ends up picking up the X-Men and Fantastic Four. And it took till 1999 to unravel the enigma that was the Spider-Man rights. So many different people were trying to claim rights. But 1999, Sony claims them. And by 2002, they've got an epic blockbuster with Sam Raimi at the helm, and they introduce a whole new era of high, big budget, pretty decent concept Spidey stuff. Up until that third movie around 2007 or so, where it then all went straight to muckety-muck. However, as much as we want to make fun of that third Spider-Man movie from Sam Raimi, it posted the highest dollar figures at the box office of those three movies, and it topped both of the Garfield movies. It wasn't until the Tom Holland Marvel-produced, Sony-owned Spideys that they were finally able to get to that. And with this latest new Tom Holland, Sony-owned, Marvel-produced, we finally reach over $1 billion for the first time, the all-time money-making Spider-Man movie. So, you just made all the money in the world. Spidey has made you more money than he's ever made before. And now there's a bitter divorce going on.
Yeah, it's like poor Tom Holland caught in the middle. Just he's the poor kid. Just, you know, he even went off Twitter. Like, I think he didn't post anything on Twitter for a while.
Smart
and
move.
he was all
because he can't win.
No, yeah.
Sony is the one that are literally writing the checks for the Spider-Man movies. Marvel, I'm sure, was paying him for the Marvel stuff, the two Avengers films. But the big money for him, I'm sure, is coming from those two Spider-Man Far Away From Home and Homecoming movies.
And the thing that he's like ripping Spider-Man out of the MCU after that last movie, like just after Avengers Endgame, spoilers, and then the
Infinity War.
Infinity War, and then
Endgame.
Homecoming,
which entirely
entirely
based on what happened in that movie.
Yep.
So
Samuel L. Jackson,
wow.
and everybody, Colby Smulders, and everybody's in that, and
Skrulls.
Yep. So yeah, I'm like all of a sudden, now those two movies, like not Marvel movies. I don't know how you retroactively pull Spider-Man out of the MCU.
I mean, he's there. You can't take that away.
You're done talking about him.
Yeah, you know. Oh, and that, you know
Poor
what?
Tony,
I'm
he died
sure
for nothing.
They can still mention. They might name drop him. I would imagine they have the rights to use footage from their own films still. I would imagine they could work a workaround with that.
Just keep calling him the kid now and never say the
never,
copyrighted phrase.
Exactly, something like that. So,
tons of great memes out of the whole thing.
There have been a ton of great memes. It comes down to, and the vast majority of our sources are reporting the same deal, is that Sony fronts all of the money. Marvel is creative lead. They're the ones that handled the casting. They're the ones that handled the scripting. They handled pretty much everything.
Yeah.
They then incorporated him into the Marvel Universe, which is the reason that movie got to $1 billion.
Yeah,
let's clearly put that out there. Otherwise, it would have been somewhere around $700 to $800 million.
I don't believe for a second it was going to be because of Sony's movie.
No.
Sony.
Let's face it, I don't even think that the first Tom Holland movie would have done the box office it did if he hadn't shown up as, you know, Avengers with the Captain America shield first. But the deal that was supposedly in place, and Sony fronted all that, they did it all, they covered everybody, Feige walked away with like an executive producer credit. Marvel walked away with all the toy sales, all the residual stuff.
No,
that's not correct. Walked away from all the stuff that was related to it. Comics, I imagine the Happy Meals, all the stuff on the side. And this is where I've heard some contradictory reports, but a lot of people were saying that Marvel got 5% of the box office. I am hearing they got 5% of just day one. And that would even be how you define day one now, with Thursdays being such a
Thursday,
major
or even
opening.
Sometimes Wednesdays now.
Yeah. So,
or is it Friday's actual day one, so Wednesday through?
So I mean, if it even had been 5% of the entire run, I'm like, well, that's a huge chunk of change out of $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
You're doing all right. But instead, we're looking at 5% of just one day, and that's a little bit much. Now, the new deal that they put in was a 50-50 split. Disney would pay for 50% of production and everything it took to make the film, but they would get 50% out. And Sony's like, well, that's never been the deal before, and we're not going to take that deal. And I can understand from Sony's point of view, that's a lot of money to leave on the table.
Yeah. But going back to the toy rights, though, my understanding, Sony's never had the toy rights. That has always been retained by Marvel and all of its parent, before Disney owned it, Marvel still had that because they only sold the movie rights.
Gotcha.
So from my understanding, that they never got toy money. Gotcha. But now they never will.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have worked that in the deal. It was like, hey, we want, 50, if we're doing 50 everything, we want 50% of toys. Maybe they would have flew on that. But yeah, from my understanding, that they never get that. It's kind of the same deal that they have with a lot of the stuff they didn't own. They had the rights still to that image outside. Yeah, that image outside of that of the movie stuff. So, but yeah, just crazy to walk away from that deal. Again,
if I'm Sony, I'm looking at Venom having been a significant blockbuster at the box office.
Man, I don't know how.
Getting a sequel. It's funny because people really like Venom, and I get it, but I think Sony got lucky on a backfire that worked for them, because there's nothing about the Venom movie that is about the Venom comics.
Yeah.
That whole dark humor aspect of them, being quippy with each other back and forth, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Do they talk in their heads back and forth? All the time, absolutely. Yeah. Was it ever that kind of, punchy, making fun of each other, odd couple kind of thing? No, I don't ever recall Venom, doing quippy joke stuff inside Eddie Brock or anybody else's head.
He was kind of like a darker, bad Deadpool talking.
Maybe I just don't remember. Well, in the movie,
was.
In the movie. No, not in the comics.
Yeah,
not in the comics. So,
he was.
I think this was a horrible movie. It was poorly done. I very much like most of the people involved in it, including Tom.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy. I think he's great, but honestly, if he didn't admit that he phoned it in on this one, I don't know, or just maybe his take on that character was that, but it was dry and dull and boring. It wasn't. Honestly, that movie isn't good until the Venom thing is in his head and we start getting those funny little lines, and then it's halfway decent. But I don't think that was on purpose.
What do you think Sony's plan is moving forward now? Do you think now Tom Holland gets to meet Venom?
Very likely.
I feel like
so far we've had the Vulture, who hasn't been used in Spidey's movies before, and they got a great actor to play him. But
that was a great Vulture.
Yeah, he's really good. In the second movie, we got him up against another character that is beloved in the comics, well known. Mysterio is a fun, funky little character.
We haven't done on.
But again, we haven't done it before.
Least,
so they haven't gone back to the well of going up against Electro. Who knows? Maybe we avoid Electro from now on. We haven't done Rhino, but Morbius, Venom, a couple of these guys. Craven's probably the big one.
Craven the
Really
Hunter.
would like to see, especially now that they've done in the last movie in Homecoming or Far From Home, they've done the whole reveal of himself. Now it'd be even better because Kraven would know who he is and is now hunting him. And so I think Kraven the Hunter is the one that a lot of fans, including myself, have wanted to see for a while, even back in the Sam Raimi version when we thought they'd do like a Crocodile Hunter kind of reality thing with it. And now who knows what we'll get for sure. But I think box office drops no matter how this goes. I just don't think it'll bring it in.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't matter to the overarching story now.
Yeah, Sony is going to walk away with $700 to $900 million on this next film based purely on the fact that this last one did $1 billion.
Yeah.
So even if it comes down, I mean, I'm coming down from what? $1 billion. You know, we're not paying that much to make all this happen. So I think, honestly, this is probably a win financially for Sony in the short run.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's in the long run.
I think that well dries up.
Yeah, but I also don't know that they care. I mean, how many times they've relaunched the same character 3 times in...
Poor Uncle Ben, man. He's getting whacked again.
2015, like in 13 years or 15 years, we've relaunched the same guy with a different actor 3 different times with actual 3 different universes, basically.
Yeah.
So it's not like they've done the James Bond thing where we get a different actor and it's still kind of the same universe. It's all a shared thing. It's completely new stuff. So if anything, I think it's time maybe that some of the studios need to look at some of these characters like that. Like, do we keep relaunching Spidey? Do we keep throwing out brand new versions? Or do we kind of get on a James Bond thing where we try to now start saying it's a shared universe and these will start running together a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd like to see from Sony is if they're going to do their own thing, I'd like to see them expand the Spider universe, and we get some more of maybe even some of the other Spider-Man characters, and maybe do some movies off that way. So
and there's definitely talk. I mean they have all the rights to do it.
Yeah.
So we could see almost all of that stuff. I just don't know. I mean, I definitely see us seeing into the Spider Universe 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
He's dying.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So yeah, there is your Spidey update.
So one of my favorite memes we'll leave on this is the third movie is because it's Far From Home, Homecoming, Spider-Man homeless. I don't know, it made me laugh way too dumb. But
yeah, I think the Tom Holland going radio silent is probably a good idea. He can't.
He's
he
bad.
Can't win in this. He's got enough stuff right now in the tube getting ready to hit, including some unreleasable movie that's been done for several years now.
I don't know about that.
Him and the chick who played Rey on Star Wars, they've done a movie. I can't remember the name of it. Did it a couple years ago, based on a young adult novel. It was back during the whole end of the Hunger Games, middle of the Maze, Divergent, when all those like young adult tween books were coming out. They filmed one.
I'm not super versed in all those, so
I just saw a thing on it the other day when they were talking about this that he's got this movie that's been done for a while.
So they probably did that like after his first or second Star Wars then.
Probably not. I'm not 100% sure.
First or second,
but
either
way, they're saying they're both now at this point. They've aged so much that if they were trying to do a reshoot with it, it could be difficult. Like they probably have to bring in people to look like them and
just digitally unage them through computers.
Second big thing that we are hearing about right now, and there's just rumblings, is Matrix 4.
Yeah, supposedly you got Keanu Reeves and Trinity. I forget her actual name.
Carrie-Anne
Moss. Thank you. I was like, I got Moss in my head, but I couldn't think of the first name.
And one Wachowski, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't believe we got 2 though.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other one's up to.
They keep saying like most of the cast, but those are the only 2 names I've heard.
Well, I think Keanu Reeves has got a good working relationship with Morpheus.
Yeah.
Obviously from the last 2 John Wick movies. So
I would assume
if they don't hold out on the budget, if they don't try to shortchange him on the bank, then I imagine you have to see Morpheus back. But honestly, I only saw the first one. I'm one of the only people in the world who's a sci-fi comic geek who really thought, yeah, we've already seen this before in every book ever where the robots take over. But
it's like the prequel to Terminator.
Except we saw Terminator like 20-some years before this. So everybody was giving its praises. And digitally, it's amazing to look at. But story-wise, I'm like, why is people hailing this as like some brand new wonderful thing when, we can read pulp stories from the 1920s that had the same almost exact kind of a theme. But regardless, that's just me. Beautiful looking movie. Watch the first one. I only really remember Carrie Ann Moss, Keanu Reeves, and Lawrence Fishburne, and then the Weasley dude who turned traitor on him eventually, who's dead,
Cypher, yeah.
I believe. So, and then Agent whatever, the agent.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I know that there was more crew on the Nebuchadnezzar or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
there's Tank and Dozer.
But aren't they both dead too?
Only one of them.
Didn't Cypher kill off a bunch of them?
Yeah,
in the
but
raid or
remember the one kills Cypher.
Okay. But I thought he was mortally wounded when he did it. I don't recall it that well. But it turns out there was a second and a third movie.
There was.
I never heard a good word about either of them.
There's also the Animatrix.
I've never heard a good thing about the Animatrix. I've never heard a good thing about movie 1 or movie 2.
I actually like the Animatrix.
Okay.
It's a bunch of short stories.
All right.
So
does it expand the Matrix universe?
Yeah.
And there was a massive online role-playing game as well.
That I don't remember.
Yep. Well, I didn't play it, but it existed. I don't know if it was any good or not.
Probably not. Otherwise,
during that whole era, there was just this vomit of everybody and everything had an
money grab.
Oh yeah, tons. So, but
I'm very curious how or what the story is with it. I know you've not seen all three, but
I kind of got the idea that the Colonel from KFC finally admits to Neo. That,
I guess like the Colonel from KFC. I was like trying to think of your time. I know what you're talking about.
He hey, by the way, here's what it's all about.
Yep. And that you're only one in a long line. They've had tons of Neos. There's been I don't think I ever know.
Yeah, he's so special kid.
Yeah, he's a. I think the way it's explained is he balances like the equation that makes everything work. Like they have to keep putting Neo in because of. I guess they're explaining like in math, he's like the remainer. So it gets to the point where he is to balance all the math to make everything work. Neo has to exist and has to make a choice. And the hundreds of times or thousands of times where they say that they've done it, he always does the same thing, and then
it just reverts.
And then back. It goes back, and they start.
So did it have an ending?
Yeah. I mean, it had. Yeah, I mean,
it had a satisfactory
I feel like it's safe
conclusion.
It has. I saw the two movies, so I don't know if anything about them was satisfactory, but it has a conclusion. And this is the part where I'm not real positive where we go. And spoilers, if you haven't seen Matrix 2 and 3, I'm gonna ruin it for you.
Oh.
Neo dies at the end.
Okay.
He's.
Is that the different choice?
No, the different choice is made at the end of the second movie.
Oh.
So the third one starts the ramifications of all of that, and more Agent Smith and yada yada.
So
you should watch him. I mean,
Neo's dead at the end.
Yeah, at the very end, yeah, he dies.
Huh.
Yeah, he gives his life to save humanity and the Matrix. He brokers a deal essentially with the robots for the humankind, and Zion's about to fall. And
so how do they win in the end with Neo dead?
He gave his life to save both the robots and the program.
Oh, so now they're all friends.
Turbidaciously, yes. That's the big end scene. After all of that is the remember the Oracle. She's the one that has all the little kids, and she's. Anyway, so the Oracle and then the Colonel Sanders. They're sitting on a park bench, watching a new dawn rise in the Matrix after everything's been saved, and the architect, who's the Colonel Sanders, he's asking how long do you think that this can last? The humans will betray us and blah blah blah, and it'll go back and start anew, and that's the conversation at the end. So I'm assuming something like that, or something of Agent Smith remains.
Interesting.
I don't know.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's going to be Matrix for a new generation.
Yeah.
This last generation has grown up on, us all talking about those original movies that we saw.
I don't talk about it that much.
I think it's one of those things where it just hasn't aged well. Because when that first one came out, everybody was talking. If they had just done the one and stopped there,
it was a big help to the cell phone company.
There you go.
The first Matrix was a cell phone commercial.
There you go.
It's a fucking 90.
I think it would have had a much bigger, a better standing in popularity. Than
I haven't rewatched it in quite some time. Even the first one, which definitely was the best of all of them. I didn't actually dislike the other two as much as a lot of people hated on them. I didn't think they were great, but I didn't, instantly want to leave the theater punching my face, because of how awful they thought they were. They're just very predictable, what happens.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if we need a third. I think I'd rather see a reboot of it then a third.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, a reboot with the exact same cast seems like a good.
Yeah, it's not a reboot at that point.
It's the Matrix.
It is the Matrix.
It could
and
work.
Supposedly,
it could be interesting.
Neo's a clone.
To see how it all comes down. So, new movie came out at the box office this week called Good Boys. It was like a Seth Rogen produced.
Oh yeah.
Hard R raunchy comedy with 3 underage kids, 3 tweens. They're supposed to be in 6th graders. And going on, their coming of
age.
Yeah, a little. They're getting younger for these.
So it's like Stand By Me.
Maybe if you include, a bunch of raunchy comedy jokes. Then yeah, sure, go with that.
Age of Discovery. They bond. They.
But I'm under the impression that it beat out Hobbs and Shaw at the box office.
I mean,
in week 2, I believe.
I mean, nothing about Hobbs and Shaw ever made me want to see it, but I also haven't seen. I also haven't sat through a Fast and Furious movie since
Tokyo Drift.
Did
you drift in Tokyo?
I don't think I saw Tokyo Drift. I think I've seen part of it when I was on TV.
Okay.
But whatever one was before that, I don't know if that was 2 or 3.
I think I've seen them all. I enjoy them for the summer movie nonsense that they are. It's a popcorn action movie. Mm-hmm. I love action adventure movies. Their whole shtick on the cars and whatnot could be replaced by just about anything.
But you've been watching this other car thing. I think you like cars more than you know.
Well, so
but Ninja Car Warrior. So
Hyperdrive, Netflix. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so I'm just surprised to see a hard R-rated movie topple this PG-13 juggernaut. Didn't see it coming. Didn't really think that this comedy was going to do
a lot of money betting on this.
Well. No, I didn't bet any money on this one. Because honestly, I don't think anybody would have taken the money. I don't think anybody would have taken that.
Think how much money you would have.
You
think that's going to win?
Yeah. Looking back on it, me and my wife went and saw it. It's funny. It's one of those things where the vast majority of the best material was seen in the trailers. So by the time you get to the movie itself, it's okay. The fact that it's a coming of age for 6th graders, it's a little much.
Were you disconnected from that material?
Yeah, a little bit. But the one comment that they said that did strike me that made enough logical sense is that they're involved with 2 older girls who are probably seniors in high school or something of that nature, about that age group. And at one point, they're talking about how they're best friends while they've been going back and forth with these 2 girls trying to get the drone thing back and all this other crap they're going back and forth with these girls about. And the girls are like, "You're best friends now. That's because you live close together. Your friends are friends. Your parents are friends. Like, you don't get to be friends with somebody at that age unless you're, there's like circumstances." He goes, "You don't make your friends in the world until you get older. Anybody that happens to come along for the ride after that, that's a bonus." And I'm like, that's an interesting concept. And that's what the movie kind of plays with, is that they are all finding, as they get into that age, that their niches and their groups, their things like that. And so, but it was fun. It had a lot of crazy stuff in it. And if you like stuff like Superbad and Sausage Party,
I've never watched Sausage Party, and Superbad I haven't seen in a long time.
So then you might not like this then.
I'm curious how well that ages.
Which one, Sausage Party?
Superbad.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
There's a lot of older movies now that are starting to not
age
well, I think. Especially with some of the current climate stuff. So
there you go. But either way, so that hit. That was interesting. Watched it. Over on Netflix, though, we've got Hyperdrive, as well as Manhunt Season 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't
Manhunt,
stop.
or is it Mindhunter?
Mindhunter.
Okay, I was like,
it just doesn't end over there anymore. It's a constant.
Hey, they just had to cancel some stuff, so.
Well, yeah. I mean, people get upset about it, but any network, including a streaming cable network, is going to cancel dead weight or things that aren't hitting the parameters that they're looking to hit. And this is a company, I'm sure, that can judge because they have all of your information. They know how old you are. They've got access to all kinds of stuff. Male, female, age range, the whole 9 yards. And So they're getting a lot of information that they can.
Talking about Netflix, so I want to know your take on this.
Okay.
All right. So
I'm for it.
So they're okay. He's for Netflix. All right. 2 thumbs up. No. So with the announcement of Disney Plus, and they just announced that Disney Plus is going to bundle with Hulu and ESPN, and it's all going to be a package for I think it's $12.99. I think is what they said it was, and they just announced they're launching. I think it's November 18th, if I remember the date they just said right. It's in November.
November 12th.
12th, okay.
Pretty sure it's November
12th.
They announced that date months ago now.
Yeah.
Catch up, man.
Well,
if you watch GeekStorm, you'd have this information already.
I don't think they hinted at the date, but there's an official press release for the date, just like last week.
They announced the date.
All right, well.
And they announced this Hulu.
Yeah,
ESPN
that I know. But
so what's the additional thing?
My additional question is,
what do you
like,
got?
so Netflix says in their latest press announcement and like earnings call stuff that that Hulu actually isn't what they're worried about. That is not their main competition.
Okay, I believe that.
What their main competition is actually Fortnite. They like called Fortnite 100% out because they're not battling for subscriptions or battling for
eyeballs. Period.
They're battling for screen time.
Yeah, no, I completely can see that. I've said for a while that it's things that people aren't going to see that are going to be what changes our world. Online shopping did not change our world. eBay changed our world because it made online shopping accessible to grandma and grandpa and everybody else and got us all orientated to the point of view that online shopping was okay and it could be safe and it wasn't so bad. If you just like Amazon had just come out of the box, I don't know that Amazon takes off, but eBay does that pre-prep for you. And you've had several other things, I think, that have opened up. PayPal, is an online bank at this point, and it's huge. And there's been a couple other things that have, I think, made drastic changes in the way we look at things. And Fortnite and a couple other video games, but Fortnite being the one we're talking about right now, Minecraft, I think it was a game changer that led into a Fortnite kind of mentality. And I don't have to worry about digital per se. I have to worry about that because, and YouTube, and YouTube is a perfect example for me. Streaming services that are just creator or whatever, like Joe on the Schmo on the street, I'm like, that'll never go over. I now watch YouTube regularly of stupid crap because it pertains to weird stuff that I enjoy. Every fringe group now has their niche covered and usually covered pretty well. There's almost always one or two people in every field that do it so well that they become kind of the center of it. So hearing that they're calling out Fortnite doesn't shock me. As I said, if they had a younger demographic, Minecraft a couple years ago would have been killing them. For me, I don't play it, so not a big deal. Price wise, I think Disney was supposed to be $6.99. I think Hulu's $5.99. I think that's what I'm paying for it right now, and I could care less about ESPN. But if it turns out it's Hulu Plus, then it's a done deal for me. Here's the year's worth if I've got the cash to throw. I'm going to buy the regular Disney anyway. I'm already paying for Hulu.
There's got to be.
I actually just have to look at the money to see if
there has to be some kind of like bundle deal. I have to pay for the no commercials for Hulu.
I don't. I think I have to pay $5.99 and I get commercials.
It's jarring to me at this point.
So,
how
much is the no commercials?
Right now, the no commercials I think is $12.
So if that was somehow to be both of them,
I imagine it's got to be.
It's got to be the non-plus one. Then
the non-plus,
$12.99, and then the ESPN,
then I'm curious: is there commercials in the Disney Plus for that price? Is there commercials built into that?
I've not heard any parameters for Disney Plus. $6.99 period.
Yeah, that's all they say. So I don't know. Are they doing ad revenue in there?
I don't think so. I would be surprised. I don't expect that you're going to see.
Hulu's already most of the stuff on Hulu is already built. I haven't watched a whole lot of actually Hulu original shows. So I don't know if they built
almost everything I've seen.
I assume they are built with commercials because that's how they do their thing.
Almost everything with Hulu has got commercials that I've seen because it's almost all normal television. That's the thing.
But I didn't know if they filmed their own stuff that way.
I don't know. I mean, that's my weird thing with Hulu is it's just a receptacle for normal television anyway. It's if you've already got the cable package that's got all that stuff, then You know, Hulu's just a nice place that collects it all for you. But otherwise, we all have DVRs anyway.
Yeah.
So we could just hit all the DVR stuff. My thing with Hulu, though, is that even with a commercial, there's not a bunch of crap all over the screen. I'm not seeing the weather report. If the president happens to give a speech that day, it turns out my episode still there. It's still fine. I'm going to see it. If it's on regular TV, though, if we've got a smattering of rain in Indiana, it's, oh no, we got to interrupt the last 5 minutes of whatever season finale it is to tell us that there might be something. It might not be, but we're definitely going to stop this show that people have been clamoring to see. And I find that annoying. So, I thought we were supposed to talk about Gen Con, and we're out of time.
Oh. Hey, Gen Con happened. We were there.
It was good.
Good time.
70,000 plus people.
Broke attendance records again.
Did it?
Yep.
All right. I don't know how you can sell out and keep breaking attendance records.
Because of how the badges go. It's what badges they sell out of.
So, I would imagine next year we see Origins grow again, because I think that crowd is getting so bad for most people. Some people are obviously going to embrace it. They love Gen Con. I love Gen Con, but I'm not going to lie. I've embraced Origins because I can go and buy something. At Gen Con, it's like ultimate warrior to figure out if you're actually going to be able to buy something, because you have to get through this crowd, survive, and get to it. And I think that's a pain.
Two very different energies for me.
Very much so, and I definitely prefer. I like them both. They're both fun, but the Origins one. When I'm done at Origins and I get home, I take Monday off, and by Tuesday I'm like, cool, let's do this thing. I get back from Gen Con, I take Monday off, and I barely can get out of bed. And if I do, I'm a zombie around my house until at least that night. And then the next day, I still, my Gen Con needs to be till like Wednesday off to get back to normal.
It's a lot more go. Go.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah, it's a little rough. Hey, don't forget to come down and check out Geek Street on East Sycamore Street in the heart of downtown Kokomo, where you can find Comics Cubed open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 6. You can find the best...
Toy store?
Okay, yeah.
Collectibles?
Yeah. There's somebody else that... So, you can check out Kokomo Toys and Collectibles. They're open Wednesday through Saturday as well, from noon to 5. Come on and check out Kingdom Cards and Games. They're not open on Wednesdays, and they're open until 3. Hopefully that changes soon. So there you go. Hey, be groovy, everybody.